Hello, thanks for joining us on Encore. Coming up on today's music show. We meet Agoria. The DJ, producer and beatmaker is with us to talk about a new golden age of electro. The man also known as Sébastien Devaud is behind the Nuit Sonore event in Lyon. He's launched a new EP, Up All Night, and has also started a second record label after 2 decades in the business. Agoria, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me here.
I'm joined also by Mariam Saab, our music critic. Hi, Mariam.
Hello, Olivia.
Now, Agoria, this year has been a year of new beginnings for you, a second record label and a new EP, Up All Night. So if I'm just going on the title, does it suggest that you were up all night making it, or is that how we should listen to it?
Yeah, maybe it's coming from this point that we are always like having a long night and staying up from midnight to sometime early mornings. But the thing about this is just I wanted to do a music very positive, and so to make this kind of music that we can listen actually even at home or in clubs. That's really what I wanted to try to do. Something very shiny. I think that was my aim behind this track, and I decided to maybe we'll speak a bit later about this new record label named Sapiens. I decided really to start a new record label because since I'm in Paris 3 years, I met so much artists in every domain, from contemporary art to cinema, directors, actors, plasticians. And I thought it was a good time for me to start a new story.
Okay, well, let's get a taste of that music. This is the title track, Up All Night. Now, you mentioned collaborations throughout your career as a DJ and also as a musician. You've collaborated with a really interesting selection of people, a mathematician, classical musicians and visual artists too. How do you think these collaborations are pushing the electro genre forward?
When I started at the moment of the rave parties, people were thinking electronic music would be just a very small trend, and after 2 years it will disappear. And we're still here after 20 years. So I think today, I can't speak for other artists, but regarding myself, I do think that it fits me to work with a lot of different kind of artistic directions. It can be, of course, musicians, but I really love to be you mentioned mathematician, or sometimes I meet some shamans, and all these people, they have I feel they are really artistic in their life approach, and so I really wanted to do this connection between all of them to feed me. So in my future album, it will be a lot of collaborations, all kind of, how can I say, genres, and to make me doing something that really please me, and also something that is really represent me today. Because of course, when you're 20 years old, you're really influenced by all the music you listened in the past. And so today it's more okay, let's take advantage of all the collaborations I can have.
Now, when we talk about influences, you've been inspired by some of the bigwigs of the Detroit techno scene. We're talking about Jeff Mills, Kevin Saunderson, and Carl Craig, who you worked with on Speechless, one of your tracks. So how did the sounds of classic Detroit techno manage to seduce a young, budding producer, musician from the little town of Valenciennes in southern France?
So all my friends in Valenciennes would be so happy you mentioned the city name.
Shout out to Valenciennes.
Actually, you know why? It's very strange. I don't know why the Detroit musicians really please me that much. I think this city is really out of time. You have people from Motown, Madonna, the Stooges, Eminem, so many artists from all kind of music have been raised and born there. And so I do think there is something very mystical in this place. I don't know if you had the chance to go to Detroit, but it has been the whole after all the crisis and General Motors and this destruction industry. And the city was really, really empty. You couldn't walk in the street because you were almost afraid that people will take your money or rape you or whatever. And so, in this place, you have something in the body, and something that in the heart and in the stomach that you need to express. I do think that's why this music really touched me, because most of people think electronic or techno music is like something very boring, something really like, I don't know, for retarded people. And I do think it's actually the opposite. It's something really speaking about emotion and what you have in the stomach, because making music with machines, you need to express something very strong, because it's like something very subtle, like in the end.
Now, another big passion of yours is scoring music for film. In the past, you worked on a French thriller, Go Fast. Now, a little bit of something different now. You're working on a comedy, and that's a challenge for you. Can you explain to us why?
You're very well informed. I'm gonna start working on a comedy like in the next months. I did this soundtrack for a Luc Besson production named Go Fast, a movie of Olivier Van Hofstadt, who did Dickeneck. I love this movie, like a Belgian movie. If you didn't see this one, it's just a fantastic one. And then I had the chance to meet recently Jan Koonen, who I love his work. I love Doberman, Blueberry, and his documentary Other Worlds too. And I did like these two last project scores, like named Vapewave and The Journey, that has been screened this year. And now, I think it's starting to work on a comedy. It will be something very more, I would say, difficult in a way, because it's very difficult, even like not speaking music-wise, but to make people laugh. For example, if I wanted to make you laugh, and it's difficult.
There you go, a bit of dramatic tension.
There you go. Well, we're moving from cinema right back round to music. We're taking a look at some of your favourite releases of this year, starting with one of the biggest names on the German electro scene, Roman Flugel. All the Right Noises. That's the album that impressed you. Why?
Roman Flugel, he started, I think, same period as I did start. So it's like, he's here for quite a long time. Not saying I'm very old, but let's say that we're here for a long time now. And this album, I think, represents all what I love in techno music and electronic music. It's melancholic, it's beautiful melodies, but also is forward-thinking production. And that's why I think it's one of the best electronic albums of the year.
Mm-hmm. And moving on, you flagged up the band Blood Orange. The album Freetown Sound was released in the summer. It got rave reviews. It's not really a pure techno sound. Why do you like this one?
No, it's not at all. But I always try to make music that represent all my tastes. So I love to do diverse kind of things. I did music with Nene Cherry or with Tricky or Peter Murphy. And are very, very different kind of musicians between themselves and of course with me too. And so I don't know. I love to listen all kind of music. And this Blood Orange album is like really something that appeals to me. I think it's very smart album. Like we can feel that this guy get good backgrounds and he is really into a lot of things from jazz to electronic music. And it's like, I think for me, I really feel touched by this album.
Mm-hmm. And Mariam, it's a reasonably political release from Dev Hynes of Blood Orange. What's the backstory?
Yes, I have to agree with Sébastien on this one. This album is fantastic. And Hynes says that it's one for everyone who's been told they're not black enough, too queer, not queer the right way. It's a clapback. We're going to take a look now at a song off the album. This is Augustine.
Crying past my deafness, retrieving false asleep. The things that I can't do to you, the things that I can't do to you.
And last but not least, you've chosen another record that tackles racial and sexual politics, Frank Ocean's Blonde. That also came out in the summer. Does it live up to the reviews?
Yeah, I think this is a very sensual album, and I love this kind of music. I would say what I really like in Frank Ocean is like it's so popular, it can be so cheesy, but it's not. And I do think like it's very difficult to do a popular album and having like amazing music inside and good production. It's like, I think it's the most difficult. You can do very underground or very commercial records, both way, like underground, okay, you do something very special, and commercial, like you try just to market as the most possible. And this one, I think we can feel it's going like this. And same, it's very difficult to do this.
I have to agree
Yeah.
with you there, Sebastian. I think on this record, Frank Ocean, he's at a point in his career where he felt like he could just put it all out there. He stripped back the production, and it was his emotions out in full force on this record. He doesn't hold back with his musings about race and police brutality in America. He talks about sexuality, money, youth, and the lost art of making music, daring to ask, does anybody write their own lyrics anymore?
And he
Andre
certainly does.
3001 track.
Yeah.
So this one is definitely one of the albums of the year. I have to agree with you there.
Thank you so much for this.
But it was a follow-up to two incredibly successful albums that Frank Ocean, well, one was an EP, wasn't it, a mixtape that he'd released before. I mean, how was it received in terms of those previous releases?
Critically acclaimed, this record. There was a lot of anticipation, a lot of hype leading up to it, of course, after the groundbreaking Channel Orange. He came out with this record, which and also another one. There was a 45-minute visual album called Endless, and a few days later he dropped Blonde. It was definitely much anticipated, and it was pushed back quite a few times, the release of this record. But it was worth the wait, because when the two releases finally did drop, we got our fix and our fill of Frank Ocean.
Well, it's good when things live up to the hype. Mariam, thanks so much for joining us this week. And Agoria, thanks for being in the studio.
Thanks for the invitation.
We'll leave you with a clip from Frank Ocean's album Blonde. This is Nike's. Remember to check out our website, and you can also keep up with Encore on social media. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
R.I.P. Pepsi.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Trayvon. That nigga look just like me.
Remember one thing. Remember one thing. Don't take no photos in the party. That's rule number one. Rule number two.
We are by the pool. So little mermaid.
Reporters, presented by Mark Owen.
Uzbekistan is at the heart of the Silk Road and developing at an incredible rate. But development comes at a price. Crackdowns on the opposition, forced labour and strict media control. In a country where freedom of speech is absent, France 24 managed to film the dark side of this jewel in Central Asia. Don't miss this exclusive report.
Reporters on France 24 and France24.com.